This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome to the Mailbag on this Friday, the 4th day of April, 2025. We are just a couple of short weeks away from WrestleMania. It's nearly here. It's crazy. 2 weeks? 2 weeks of WrestleMania, and there's a lot of stories I think that need to ramp themselves up, and we saw a little bit of that last week with the Jey Uso and the bloodying of Jimmy Uso, and I went over that on my weekend review. So obviously tomorrow night, or Sunday night rather, will be the weekend review, and I'll wrap up the SmackDown events, which I have not seen anything on SmackDown yet. I know it just concluded actually as I start recording this, but we will talk about that on Sunday for the weekend review. Live shows will also be returning, and that will be returning soon. I haven't determined an actual date yet, but given the cost that it is going to put on me, I'm going to make the best of it, and I'm going to make most of it, and I'm going to hopefully do it more often than you think, and we'll get more of when I do that and how I do that in the coming days. So stay tuned if you want to get any updates on that. Subscribe to Patreon or follow me on Twitter. Both ways, I'll be announcing how exactly we're going to be doing that and where you can go and what number you can call in and all that kind of stuff as we get closer to WrestleMania. But WrestleMania is a great time to join us on Patreon because you get to go ad-free for a week for free. Try us. If you don't like us, cool. You know, at least you gave it a shot. And if you do, then you get to stick with us for $1 a month is really where it starts. And you can go up from there. So patreon.com/WWE podcast, where you go for all your wrestling talk and your wrestling criticism, as I'm sure you'll hear on this show. But let's get to it. The mailbag. And a couple emails, couple voicemails. I say it shouldn't be a long show, but we'll see. So the first email comes to us. Let's talk to DJ. It's been a hot minute. Let's talk to DJ. And he says, the moment is finally here. I'm not talking about WrestleMania 41. I'm talking about the SmackDown debut of none other than Rey Fenix. It's been a long waiting process to have Rey Fenix appear in a WWE ring after back and forth issues with Tony Khan and AEW, and not being utilized for most of last year until his contract officially ended on March 3rd of this year. Maybe by the time the Mailbag episode comes out, we'll have already seen who Rey Fenix's first opponent is on SmackDown. I first discovered Rey Fenix from watching AEW, and when he teamed up with his brother Penta as the Lucha Brothers. I just didn't understand why Tony Khan couldn't have booked the Lucha Brothers to win the tag team titles more than once, and even attempt to promote Penta and Rey as single stars, just like when they were the Lucha Underground and Lucha Libre AAA worldwide, just to name a few, because Penta and Rey are amazing in the ring, and the crowd loves them. Now that Rey Fenix is on the SmackDown roster as a single star, as opposed to tag teaming with his brother Penta, we'll get to see Rey Fenix on his own, and probably go on somewhat of a winning streak in his first 3 months, and maybe even compete for the U.S. Championship or qualify for the Money in the Bank. But let's not get carried away with the debut, the way he will be presented in WWE, and how the crowd will react to him, because most people just watch the WWE, probably haven't heard of Rey Fenix. Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. I've personally heard of him, haven't seen a whole lot of his work. I saw some promos, obviously, that WWE did, and I'm guessing most fans that are WWE loyalists probably haven't even heard the word or the name of Rey Fenix. But that's why we have you, DJ, to educate us on what he did previously with the Lucha Brothers and his relationship to Penta, and the fact that, yeah, they're on separate brands. That means, hey, they probably for now aren't going to unite, but it'll come at some point. So thank you, DJ, for that, and I'll continue. By the way, do you know that El Grande Americano is Chad Gable? Wait, no. Are you just... This is like a late April Fool's joke. I know. Everybody knows that. I find it hilarious that WWE is continuing this story, even though Chad is not a Mexican wrestler. It comes to mind of this flashback of Elias and his little brother Ezekiel from 2022, when, if I'm not mistaken, Kevin Owens alongside Chad Gable had Ezekiel do a lie detector test to prove that Ezekiel was indeed Elijah, and vice versa. But then the unimaginable happened. The lie detector proved that Ezekiel was not Elijah. Kevin Owens gets enraged towards Chad Gable and the lie detector software because of the results. There was always a time and place for comedy in pro wrestling, and that segment was it. What I would like to see is Chad Gable versus a Grande Americano Chad Gable match, but I wonder who would replace Gable in that match if Chad calls in sick or has a doctor's note. Anyway, have a great weekend. DJ Kuzma signing off. Thank you, DJ. And that's a match that I think is going to happen. It is a very much Ezekiel Elias dynamic here. And I do agree that it's going to be at some point that match that they'll somehow try to finagle and make happen. It's entertaining. It has people talking. That's for damn sure. I don't know if WWE ever really expected this kind of feedback, and a lot of negative feedback, and we've covered that on the show and why it's just silly. But it's getting attention nonetheless. Social media is still eating it up. I think most people generally appreciate it and find it funny, and it's helping Chad Gable a lot here. And for WWE and the announcers to play coy, and it's fun. It's just a fun, lighthearted story, and it continues to also show you the range of Chad Gable. Chad Gable, think about what he's been through. American Alpha, Shorty G, just a great technical wrestler. Remember when he was he wrestling, not Sheamus, Gunther, and nearly beat him for the Intercontinental title. Several awesome matches. And then he turns and he forms a stable and he berates Otis and Akira Tozawa in front of the world. And you're waiting for Otis to turn, and he finally does. And that was a big flop because they never even had a match, which is actually incredible. And then he reinvents himself once again, teams himself up again, forms another little faction. And now he is rebranding himself with the El Grande Americano. Obviously, the Creed brothers, in tow. But this is Chad Gable's evolution. And he just shows you how good of a wrestler he is. And yeah, a performer. I hate that word, but he is putting on a performance, and he's showing a range of things he can do. And I really think I need Chad Gable as a United States champion, Intercontinental champion. Chad Gable, after everything he's done, everything he's been through, his journey, man, this dude is deserving of a championship. Even competing for the world title. He's capable of it. You know how damn good this dude is. So while we're all enjoying Grande Americano and all the fun and silliness that comes with it and pretending we don't know the identity, but we all know, and it's a worst kept secret, under all that is a serious competitor that we know can get real. And I hope that they eventually come back to it when this El Grande Americano story is complete. So, next email. This comes to us from Thomas. And Tom says, I just want to say I agree that Jay did not sell anywhere near enough emotional pain and torture of watching his twin brother being destroyed. Disappointing given his amazing acting and emotions during the Bloodline story. Gunther looked so badass in the aftermath, covered in Jimmy's blood with his proud, sinister grin. It reminded me of a serial killer who gets their bloodlust after a kill, like in American Psycho or horror film. I hope Gunther retains and continues to act like a ruthless, blooded, cold killer in the ring, whilst outside the ring, keeping a calm, composed, I'll get you later attitude like when Jimmy slapped him. This is the Gunther we need. Keep up the good work and bring us into WrestleMania strong. Thanks, Tom. This is the Gunther, I would agree that this is the best Gunther is when he's this guy. He's a killer in the ring. I mean, it literally looked like he killed someone last week. It looked like a murder scene. And it was awesome. Gunther is, and this is the one I want. I don't need the one scared of Damian Priest. Remember that? That was terrible. Nothing against Damian Priest, but they can't do that to Gunther's character. It undermines him completely. I mean, his whole premise is built on just badassery. And he showed fear against Damian Priest. I know they're trying to get Damian over, but you're also sacrificing the essence of Gunther when you do that, and I'm glad we're no longer there. But this, to me, is a Gunther that is at his best. Bloodying people, humiliating people, torturing people. But like you said, backstage, he's that quiet anger. He's the guy that you don't know what's going through his head at any moment. And I agree, though, that Jay did not do his part well. And that's the one criticism I had for the whole segment. It's just they did not do enough with Jay. If your own flesh and blood is being bloodied in the middle of the ring, and you are not showing enough emotional pain, then you're not doing your job. And Jay didn't really do his job. He did not do a good job there at all. But it is kind of crazy given how well he did, like you said, with the Bloodline story and all the facials and emotions and the struggles he went through of, do I turn? Do I not turn? This is family, but I know it's wrong. What do I do? And that is something that he did an awesome job with. And here it was a stumble. I don't think he did a good job selling it at all. So it hurt the segment a little bit, but still effective nonetheless. And it's what that program needed for a lot of us to go, oh, okay, we're at least we're paying attention now to this world title story. Okay, let's go to Jeff on Patreon as well. And he says, hey, everyone. Looks like it's once again Rusev Day. Cannot wait. This week's Raw seemed like a good start to the finish of the WrestleMania storylines. Love the blood. Love the John Cena promo. I think the rest of the matches that are going to be announced will make this year's Mania great. They also better make Bianca a heel. If her heat stays the same in the States as it did overseas, then she's going to make a great heel. That's all for this week. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Well, thank you, Jeff, and you as well. Couple things you made me I'm glad you reminded me. The Rusev thing, and it's so crazy how the news cycle just flies by, and we see a news story and then we put it out of our heads and keep scrolling. So that I'm a victim of my iPhone because we all have ADD. I think it's just we all have like early onset ADD or some form of it. I think with these phones in our pockets and in our faces 8 hours a day. So Rusev, yes. It is purported by, I think it was Wrestle Talk or several outlets, credible outlets, that Rusev is back in WWE. He has signed with WWE. And I'm taking it at face value. It seems to be legit. So Rusev being back is I think a really good thing. He's been gone, obviously, for several years now. And I don't think that when he was here, especially towards the end, they really did him, any favors. Him and Lana together at the beginning were refreshing. They seemed legit. Lana then dropped her Russian accent and then decided she was going to try wrestling, and that didn't work out very well in the ring. And Rusev and Lana were, no longer officially on together, and their whole Rusev Day did help. Remember Rusev Day? Yeah. That was a fun little catchphrase for a while that sold a bunch of t-shirts. And he leaves. And he goes to AEW as Miro. And I didn't really follow what he did in AEW very much outside of some highlights. And it didn't seem like he had a very prominent position there. And I had to say, just on an offshoot of AEW, I've got nothing against the promotion. I do hope it succeeds. It's another place, as I've said, for not just fans to go watch an alternate version of pro wrestling, but it's another place for men and women to get work, and get work at a competitive price to WWE. That's good. But I have to say, some of the things I've seen from some of their matches are straight embarrassing. It's like I thought at first some of these were AI generated, or I was watching a parody of what pro wrestling is to some people. And it just seems so fake, overtly fake. And I hate using that word. I know a lot of our fans listening, we don't like hearing that word because fake isn't the right description. But when it looks like it's fake and choreographed so overtly, it's embarrassing to watch. And I've seen so much of that lately in AEW, the clips I've seen. It's some of their matches, man. I mean, I don't know how some people watch that product when it's like that. You can't have a product look that goofy. And anyway, so I just wanted to say that. But it's great to have Rusev back. Interested to see what they do with him, if they throw him right back in the Intercontinental or U.S. title picture, or if they throw him right to the top and see if he can swim or sink with the Sharks at the top. I don't know. I would think he's going to be in the upper mid-card, get a big pop upon his return, probably near or at or just after WrestleMania, one of the three. So I'm looking forward to it, seeing what they do. Maybe they'll bring back the Tank. I don't know. So that's good. Now, the other thing I wanted to bring up before I move to the voicemails, Kevin Owens, because there's issues right now with Kevin Owens, and I want to make sure I have the latest updates here. So this is according to WrestleZone, of course, other outlets, PW Mania, Wrestle Talk, Wrestling Inc., and oh boy, okay, there's okay. There's a spoiler, big spoiler, guys, for SmackDown. So I'm warning you right now, because I just Googled this. I want to make sure I have the latest information. I'm Googling I'm Googling what happened with Kevin Owens and the latest injury, and I got some SmackDown news. So, warning, spoiler alert. Okay, you're still here. So, on SmackDown, Kevin Owens announces that he's going to need neck surgery, and he's missing WrestleMania. So, this is according to Wrestling Inc., and it says, after reports emerged earlier on Friday that a serious injury was putting WrestleMania 41's match between Kevin Owens and Randy Orton in jeopardy, Owens announced to the crowd on SmackDown that he needs neck surgery and will not only miss WrestleMania, but he's not sure when he'll be back in front of fans. And Nick Aldis set the scene and told the crowd there was a reason that they said they don't try this at home, and introduced Owens so fans could hear from him. Owens said that for the last 4 months, he's been dealing with a pretty serious neck injury, but didn't know what exactly it was until this week. He explained he needs neck surgery, and the timing couldn't be worse because he said not being able to get in the ring with Orton at WrestleMania really sucks. He thanked the WWE for allowing him to explain the situation to fans because he wasn't sure when he'll have the privilege to be back in front of them again. He thanked the fans and said he was sorry. Orton's music hit, came out, stared at Owens, and the pair exchanged looks before Owens walked up the ramp, leaving Orton in the ring with Nick Aldis. Aldis told Orton that he no longer has a match at WrestleMania, and then Orton hit the RKO on Nick Aldis. So Nick Aldis versus Randy Orton? I mean, isn't that the second time he's RKO'd Nick? I think it's the second one, and no one said anything yet. I don't know. So that's kind of secondary, obviously, to the more important story of Kevin Owens out for WrestleMania. Now, do I think this is a work? It's a story? Slight chance. That would be something I don't know if they've ever done. I'm going to say no. My official answer to that, because those rumors will come up, is that no, he is not. This is not a work. I don't believe it is. But given we're in this different era of Triple H and doing things that we've never seen before and trying new things, and it would fit Kevin Owens' character to BS the fans and, seemingly be a good guy, turn good and thank them and oh, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be there, only for Orton to be blindsided at WrestleMania and they still end up having their match. Is that possible? Yes. I'd give it about a 5% chance. But I wanted to put that out there as it's possible, but very unlikely. So assuming this is real, I have no reason to believe it's not. That sucks for Kevin Owens. And it sucks for us. Big time. This match was being promoted very well. I don't think it got the attention it really deserved, because everything has been about Cody and Cena's promos and dissecting Cena's promos and who won the battle last week and all that. And I think Kevin Owens and Randy were quietly doing an awesome job. Easy to understand story, physical. You have a goal in mind, a payoff of you want to see Orton kick off Kevin Owens' head. Obviously, can't do that now. Obviously that'd be the worst place to possibly target someone. But so that sucks. Do they have an alternate match for Orton? They probably will at some point. They got to put Randy Orton at WrestleMania. You cannot have Randy Orton without WrestleMania, or an available Randy Orton and not put him in WrestleMania. So he'll be active in some match, whether it's one-on-one or whether it's in some kind of multi-man match. The second question I have about this, though, the second piece of this is, if he's saying that this was going on for 4 months, how did he have the match he had with Sami Zayn? That was, again, one of the best matches for me, one of the best matches I've ever seen. So far for me, match of the year candidate. Incredible with Sami Zayn. Absolutely incredible. Doing the things he did. Perhaps they exacerbated the issue. They certainly didn't help the issue. But if he still had that same issue, how was he able to do any of that? How, with the medical team the way they are today, with the safety of the wrestlers at the forefront, the wellness team, all the stuff that they've got, all the resources and everything they've got to keep the wrestlers as safe as possible. Was he just hiding it? I would think he had to have been hiding it. Because otherwise, if he wasn't, and he still had this issue that apparently needs surgery, herniated, I don't know the exact diagnosis, herniated disc, I don't know, I'm not sure. But how is he able to do all that stuff? I mean, incredible. Or it perhaps happened during those matches. I mean, we don't know. But I feel bad for Kevin. Feel bad for Randy. Everybody. It just sucks. Sucks. So anyway, that's the big news. I'm sure there's other stuff coming out of this that will follow in the weeks to come. So let's get to the voicemails right now.
This is DJ Kuzma back at it again on your Mailbag show. Record you live on a Wednesday morning, and you know what time it is. It's time to
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
That's right, folks. Joe Hendry is his name as I take it to my 30th episode of the Judge Report. And like always, coming to you live from an undisclosed location. Now let's take you to what took place this past Thursday on a TV taping of TNA Pro Wrestling from El Paso, Texas. As one of the major focal points of this episode is what is the future for Joe Hendry, who will be his next opponent as he now starts his 4th month as a TNA World Champion. Of course, he won the championship way back in January at TNA Genesis. Now, we are also on the road to TNA Unbreakable. That'll be happening on April 17th. And then, of course, on April 27th, TNA goes back to Los Angeles, California for TNA Rebellion. But on this episode of TNA Pro Wrestling, we see Joe Hendry. He addresses the TNA universe as who could be his next opponent for TNA Rebellion. But then, lo and behold, we get Elijah. But it wasn't for the reason that he was going to be his next opponent, because Elijah still has a kinship with Joe Hendry because, of course, both of them are talented musicians. So here comes Elijah, and he wants to have a little tribute concert to Joe Hendry, his buddy, his pal, his friend, as he sang a song kind of similar to the song, if you remember, from the Toy Story movie with Buzz Lightyear and Woody, and he did a song called You've Got a Friend in Me. You got a friend in me. You've got troubles, I've got them too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. We stick together, we can see it through, 'cause you got a friend in me. 'Cause you, that's right, you, Joe, got a friend in me. So he has this little kumbaya moment, his sharing his affection for Joe Hendry, which I think somehow that eventually Elijah is going to turn on Joe Hendry. But we're having this nice little moment between Joe Hendry and Elijah. And then here comes the king of TNA, none other than Frankie Kazarian, as he has the Call Your Gauntlet trophy, kind of similar to the Money in the Bank briefcase, as the winner can cash in on the opportunity to become a future world champion. As he comes in, Frankie Kazarian says something like, wait a minute, if this is some sort of jam session, let me get involved because I got a bass guitar. So he comes on and has his little moment, trying to insult the crowd in El Paso, Texas. And then all of a sudden, we fast forward through this segment. He gets beat down by both Joe Hendry and Elijah as he gets kicked out of the ring. And everybody's just singing, na, 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 hey, 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 goodbye. It seems to me that Frankie Kazarian, Joe Hendry, and maybe Elijah might be in some sort of match in the near future. But what could be the possibility that Elijah could turn on Joe Hendry? Because Joe Hendry doesn't have an opponent yet for his championship. Will this happen on the road to Unbreakable or to TNA Rebellion? Let's see. But I must fast forward to what's happening outside in the world of Joe Hendry, as Joe Hendry will be in Ann Arbor, Michigan this coming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at a comic book convention called Astronomicon. Try to say that 5 or 15 times. It is a tongue twister. Anyway, Sting and Kevin Nash will be on the lineup at this comic book convention. It is a meet and greet where you could meet Joe Hendry. So that's right, Detroit Kyle, if you're in this area, this coming Friday, Saturday, Detroit Kyle, if you're still listening to the mailbag, you could meet Joe Hendry. Always remember to believe, say his name. Always remember the words that Joe Hendry says, anytime, any place, at any show. And most importantly, as we kick off WrestleMania week, or should I say WrestleMania month, always remember to do this.
Wave your hands from side to side and say, oh, I believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is so prestigious.
Once again, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. Stay safe, my friends. Believe and peace.
You know, Joe Hendry he owes us some kind of royalties on this show, I have to say, because of all the promotion that maybe he owes royalties to you, DJ, for keeping the WWE fans on top of what he's doing in TNA, so that when he gets to WWE and hopefully makes it big, they can say, oh man, I remember. Right, I remember. I'm going to go to the show to support you. I've been following you since, you were in TNA and you were dipping your toe into WWE. Remember that? And then you finally came in and you became a big star. Joe Hendry should pay us some royalties. Mainly you. I wouldn't mind getting a little kickback, but mainly to you, DJ, because it's great to hear what he's doing over there. And TNA's ratings are up because of the relationship with WWE. And it's just good for everybody. And I'm glad I'm happy TNA is getting some boost here from the WWE relationship. Joe Hendry, obviously big star there. And good to hear what's going on. Now, I will say, if you had told me that at some point in my life, I would hear Mr. DJ Kuzmo sing "You've Got a Friend in Me" from Toy Story, then I would have lost that bet. I don't think that was not on, as the kids say, on my bingo card, because if I didn't wake up today expecting you to hear you singing that song, but I did, and I don't think we'll forget it. So thank you, DJ, for that. And we will move on, and thank you again, and we'll let's see who's next. I'm not sure who's next, actually. So let's learn together.
Hello, WWE podcast. It's Owen from the UK. I was checking my emails. It's been about 3 years since my last write-in or voice memo in. I don't know if anyone remembers me or my write-ins, but it's good to be back. I sort of fell out of love with the product for a bit, just getting old and just being busy with stuff, but I'm fully locked back in now, so I thought I'd come on here and give my opinions or my previews for the upcoming WrestleMania, some of the main matches. So first of all, I'm going to go with the Cena versus Cody Rhodes match. First of all, I will say I do disagree with you, Matt. I think Cody Rhodes is doing a brilliant job being the face of the company. But that's me personally. I guess it's not to everyone's taste. But I'm going to say Cody Rhodes wins because of there's going to be involvement. I reckon The Rock's going to come down. I reckon then somebody's going to fight off The Rock and let Cody win. I don't know who it's going to be. It might be Stone Cold, but that doesn't really set anything up for the future. So personally, as much as the Stone Cold would be good, I think maybe Orton to then set up a tag team at Backlash, the pay-per-view after, and then at SummerSlam, one last time. No belt, it needs to be involved. Orton versus Cena. Let's do that. Then what else have we got? We've got Jey Uso versus Gunther. I hope Gunther, but I think they're gonna give it to Jey Uso. Looking at the beat up and stuff like that, I just think that's gonna happen, especially if Cody retains. I think Seth Rollins is gonna win the triple threat. I think there's gonna be something with Heyman. People are thinking that it's with, is he gonna go with CM Punk or is he gonna go with Roman Reigns? I think they're gonna switch it up, and I don't think he's gonna partner. I don't think that Paul Heyman's gonna partner with Seth Rollins. I think there's gonna be like a distraction, or a pull out. Let's say Roman hits the spear, pinning CM Punk, then Paul Heyman pulls off Roman, and then Seth Rollins comes in with a stomp or something. Paul Heyman doesn't mean to do it. Now there's a big fallout. That sets up something else. But I think Seth Rollins wins. So yeah, that's probably the 3 biggest matches in my opinion. I think Charlotte wins. I'll just list off a few more. I think Charlotte wins. I think that Drew McIntyre wins. I think that Logan Paul wins. They're just a few off the top of my head. Anyway, I hope everyone has a good week. Peace.
All right, Owen. Yeah, no, I remember. Has it really been 3 years? It can't be that long. I feel like it's been a year, not 3, but I don't know. My perception of time is just way off. So I'll take it at face value. 3 years is wow. Well, glad you're back. Glad you're back in the product. We've been here through the thick and thin of it, and glad you're back on track, and appreciate you taking the time, Owen. And I will say, Cody isn't my taste for a babyface. He's too clean cut, too smooth, too produced, I've gone through the list a million times, but what do I know? Because clearly the fans continue to support him. We have yet to have a crowd turn on him. It's really it's fascinating that they haven't, and I'm not predicting they are. I know a lot of people are. I'm not on that boat that the fans are just suddenly going to turn on him and they'll turn on him soon. I really don't think they're gonna. His song is I think his song is a big part of what's keeping him afloat from the fans turning on him. They love being a part of that entrance and participating. But anyway, yeah, Cody's just not my cup of tea. But again, I'm in the minority given the reactions every week. So yeah, don't listen to me. Good to hear your predictions. And I'm hesitant to give mine yet, mainly because I don't have confidence in my predictions yet. We haven't seen all the stories play out. We don't know if there's any last minute changes to any of the stories, barring injury. Obviously, what we heard with Kevin Owens is crazy. So without all that information, I'm hesitant to give my predictions. But if you're going to force me to, at least with Cena and Cody, I would say that John Cena wins because I think it's a better story if John Cena wins. Yes, he doesn't have a whole lot of dates. He doesn't have to hold the title for long, but this is his last chance. This is it. He's not coming back. This is your chance to break Ric Flair's record. Do it in a way that is gloating over a legend like Ric Flair. It's, saying he's the greatest of all time now. They have this one chance to take down Ric Flair's record, and they may not get it again for how many years. They're going to do it. I think they're going to do it. And with Cena as a heel, it's much more intriguing. He doesn't have to worry about pissing the fans off because he's already a heel now, so you don't have to worry about it. I think it's going to be John Cena. Now, the fly in the ointment is like, okay, if you're going to have The Rock interfere, and he's going to in some capacity, we all know that. And I've predicted that Cody's going to have some help. Stone Cold is just a perfect fit for this. How does Cody still drop the belt with a guy like Austin or another legend backing him up? So that's the weird thing. But if that's the case and he does drop the belt, I know you're worried about, well, it doesn't make sense for the future if Austin comes out. Well, look at last year's WrestleMania, for God's sakes. How many legends were involved in the finish of that for the last 5 minutes? Some of them made no sense, like The Undertaker. That made no sense. And yet many people look at that as the best 5 minutes of WrestleMania. I don't. I think it was fun from a Legends perspective and nostalgia perspective. It was kind of like a meshing of the eras in a lot of ways for no reason at the end of that show. And a lot of people loved it for that sense. It was an insanely overbooked match, as we expected, but we got it. And I'm not crapping on it. It's fun to watch. But given the fact that a lot of it made no sense, we still look at it as a very favorable finish, and one that ended with Cody winning the championship, and one that ended with Cody becoming the face of the company, the face of the new era, and on we go. So, thanks, Owen. Good to hear from you. Maybe we'll hear from you again next week as WrestleMania season rolls on. A couple more voicemails, guys. Let's see who they are.
Oh, hey, Matt Bevan here again. Yeah. Back on the bandwagon. To answer your question, no, all good. Nothing went wrong in my life or anything like that. Just busy, man. Just busy. And in the end of the day, I had to also make sure I was getting enough sleep, so some things just fell away, you know. So, hey, back on the John Cena thing, I see a few nights ago on Raw that Cody Rhodes putting to sleep at the Crossroads. So usually when that starts happening, you think, oh, Cena's got to win. Surely he's got to win in WrestleMania. I'm hoping so. It'll be so much more fun. It's going to be the viewership. I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking this from probably now a commercial standpoint, but I would probably be inclined to watch more Raw and SmackDown, depending on whatever show they turn up on these days, more if Cena wins than if he doesn't. I'm tired of Cody Rhodes. I found his whole reign as champion to be a bit underwhelming. It was just too good guy. I'm more of a fan of heel champions anyway. It just makes things more interesting. And I think that's also the reason why I tuned out for a while too, because I was like, oh, I don't really want to see Cody. Hey, another question is, I watch, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this, so you can censor it if not, but I sometimes watch that WrestleMania news on YouTube, and they put on a episode the other night saying that they reckon John Cena's going to lose. Now, I haven't watched the show yet. I just saw it in their headline. I just can't see it happening. Surely not. Other than that, thanks, man. Have a good one. Bye.
Bevan, good to hear from you again, and glad that it's nothing bad that happened, and it's just life, and you're just catching up on sleep, and I absolutely can understand that, so good to hear that on that front. As I was listening to you hear you speak, Bevan, I'm more and more convinced that John Cena is going to win. The reasons are, number one, it creates much more interest in what's going on in WWE. John Cena is a household name. He has earned legendary status. He is at the top of the top. He's in the conversation with Austin and Rock and Undertaker and Triple H and Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior and Yokozuna and Andre the Giant, and go down the list. He's in that conversation. He should be. Anybody that pretends he's not is pretending. So with that said, him on his final ride here, never again coming back to in any kind of physical capacity anyway. This is your last chance. What's going to create more interest and buzz? WWE loves buzz. They love attention. They love first evers. Boy, they love their first evers. And what better way to do a first ever and create more attention and get more people talking on X than John Cena as heel John Cena beating Cody Rhodes for the championship and then turning that championship into the spinner belt, which I hope he does again because it's going to piss off a lot of people. I hope he doesn't follow through on his promise of just going home and sitting there. I know he has a light schedule, so we're not going to see him much even as champion, which we're all kind of used to at this point after 4 years of Roman Reigns, and Brock Lesnar was champion for a while. And if you remember back in 17, 18, I think that's when he was, and we barely saw him there. So we're all kind of unfortunately used to an absentee champion. We know what that feels like. So I'd be fine with John Cena doing that. I'd be fine with it. And also, secondarily, beyond the buzz and interest perspective, is the fact that John Cena is more interesting as a champion. Cody Rhodes' run, even trying to be as objective as possible and taking all my bias away from his character I don't like, is the fact that it's been a very, I don't know if Barry's right, it's been somewhat boring. His run has been dry. It's been, he wins and everyone's like, yay, we finished the story. And then nothing substantial came from that other than let's keep him champion for a year. And I think that's what they're going to do. They can say he was champion for a year after. That's a very respectable run. And it's time for a change. I think WWE recognizes it. You can put the belt back on Cody. Cena's not going to be champion for long. You know, at the most, he's going to be champion for 8 months? So at the very most, which I don't think will happen. I think he could drop it at SummerSlam. So they're not going to have him champion for long, I don't think, more than a few months. And you have Cody Rhodes, who again is his character needs a bit of a refresh, needs a bit of a rebranding, and I think there's more interest there certainly. And thirdly, with Cody, if you want to ensure that the fans don't turn on him, and your intent is to keep him babyface, well, then don't even give the fans the thought of turning on him if he's champion for too long. You don't want a babyface champion for too long, because the fans will eventually turn, and they're going to say, we want somebody new. And this is repetitive and getting kind of boring. And Cody's run has been, again, kind of boring. And I think that'll be a nice, kind of proactive action to take. Get rid of the title from Cody. It's been a year. That's good. You can look back on it and say, that's a respectable run. So 3 big reasons to take the belt off of Cody. There's no real big reason to keep it on Cody other than, he gets to continue his story and have another big WrestleMania victory. But then where does John Cena go with it? It's much more interesting to have John Cena win and go, what's he going to do now? How's Cody going to react? What's John Cena going to say after he takes his belt? What's he going to do with the belt? Way more fun to be had with John Cena as champion. The more I think about it, there's just no good reason to keep the championship on Cody. All right. Thanks so much. One more voicemail, guys. Here we go.
Hey, it's Kyle from Baltimore. I just wanted to talk about this situation with the men's triple threat match being the main event. I know I kind of mentioned a little bit last week, but it's like there's nothing on the line, right? And I guess it's fine. I don't think it's fine though, because if this wasn't WrestleMania, people would crap all over if this match happened like at Backlash or say Money in the Bank. Remember the 6-man tag last year, Money in the Bank, all the mighty ended with that. Not the men's ladder match or the men's championship match between Rollins and Priest with McIntyre cashing in and failing because of CM Punk. That would have been a great way to end Money in the Bank last year, but he chose not to. Similar thing here, but it's like 10 times not worse, which is with nothing on the line, and if they don't announce what the favor is during the match, before the match, they need to announce what the favor is so that, because they're just wrestling each other for what reason? Yes, they're the 3 biggest names in the company. Yes, it's going to be a great match, but I guess just as anything at stake or anything to, because they're in the main event because of the top stars in the company, to me, that's not good enough. Yes, that's all well and good, but there's nothing on the line. There's nothing at stake to warrant to be the main event. This reminds me of winning with Steve Austin and Kevin Owens. Now, granted, it's because he never wrestled for a long time, and I didn't grow up watching Austin, so I just felt I didn't pay attention to that, but I understand why it was. But that's what in this situation, there's nothing on the line. And I know that the women's triple threat match is not all that exciting as a storyline perspective, but at least there's something on the line. So, I don't know. They need to announce what the favor is before the match happens. Otherwise, it'll be like, why is this main event over the championship match? So, that's all I just have to say about that, but that's it. Thanks for a call. Bye.
Kyle, yeah, man, I'm on board with you, man. I'm on board with you. This is a match that, on paper, it's star-studded, and there's all, oh my God, the match quality. The difference to me, though, at WrestleMania versus if this was on any other PLE is, this is WrestleMania. How are there not stakes on the line? Again, assuming there's not going to be. Things can change. But if things don't, and there's nothing on the line, and it's just as is at WrestleMania, then, what? Why? This is WrestleMania. There should be stakes on the line for a match like this. And yes, Austin, you could go down. There's a dozen examples of matches at WrestleMania that were big matches with big stars with no prize, essentially. But those matches primarily are one-on-one. One-on-one matches that have an individual story. You could have done Roman Seth without a championship. That doesn't need a championship. That's a matchup that writes itself. That's a story that needs no telling. But with these 3, it's muddy. Punk is pretending to have an issue with Roman. Seth obviously has an issue with Punk and with Roman. But Punk is the one that doesn't belong in this match. Maybe it is for the favor. Maybe it is he's putting Paul Heyman's services on the line. His favor is to tell him to leave Roman. I don't know. Maybe that's what the favor is, but that's, I don't know. I'm intrigued by this matchup simply because of the fact that it's three big stars, yes, and it's WrestleMania, yes, but again, with no stakes and with a muddying of the waters of no singular story that you're able to follow or why you should care who wins this, that's what hurts this. It's like, all right, we like Seth, we like Roman, and we like Punk. Three big baby faces right now. We have three big baby faces going at each other. This is probably the setup for a heel turn, probably by Seth, maybe. I don't think they're going to turn Punk. So this is maybe a match that's set up for a heel turn because three big baby faces are facing each other. When's the last time three major stars at WrestleMania faced each other in a triple threat with nothing tangible on the line? I can't name one. I can't. So this is bizarre. It obviously is because we can't see the big picture. WWE can. They are hearing loud and clear that people are like, yeah, cool match, bro, but there's nothing on the line. And I'm not asking for a championship to be on the line. But to me, there should be something tangible. We're putting three of the biggest stars, but the fans, why should they care who's going to win this? Other than, yay, my favorite person won. There's no, even as a fan, from a fan's perspective, they're intrigued by it, but who are they supposed to cheer and boo? Because they have three people in there that they really like. Most people that love Roman love Seth, and most people that love Seth love Punk, and fans love all three of these guys as they're presently constituted. So there's nothing here for fans to boo. It's all just who's going to be cheered the loudest, I guess. It's a bizarre match. I didn't like it when we heard about it leaked a couple of months ago. I was hoping it would change, hoping things would evolve, and it was just a red herring by WWE, and they're going to move on. It's not. And I know I'm sounding like a spoiled fan complaining about three of the biggest stars in the company facing each other, but I kind of like stakes on the line. I like a reason for me to care about who wins and loses, and in this match, I just don't care who wins or loses because there's nothing for me to care about for my whatever my preferred wrestler is to win. There's nothing to win. That's the problem. And it's WrestleMania. See, that's what I was bringing up. My original point about it is it's WrestleMania. If this match was on, again, a Payback, like you said, or on another PLE that's a BPLE, I'd be like, all right, well, this is a fun little match to have on the side. But I would still ask what's on the line. But it's WrestleMania. There's got to be stakes. There should be, anyway. I don't want to hear all these other examples that I've heard from people are all true that there was nothing on the line, but there was a story to be told. Right? The return of Austin versus, I mean, my God, you don't need anything on the line. No explanation necessary between Kevin Owens and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin's coming out of retirement. That's the story. I don't know. So I know a lot of you disagree with me on that as well, that, there's a ton of examples. This one is weird, especially with them all being baby faces on top of it. That's another part of this that no one's talking about is they're all good guys. So what's the plan here? I think it's probably to turn someone heel and reveal Paul Heyman's favor. So, all right. I'm going to end it there. Thank you, everybody, for calling in. Thank you, everybody, for the voicemails and the emails, as always. We'll continue to drop information as I can with the whole live show format that's going to be coming and a live recording, which gives me no safety net. So if I stumble, if I bumble, which I always do, it can't be edited out. So that's going to be fun to expose myself, and I'll give you guys more information as best I can in the coming days. So I'll be back on Sunday night with your weekend review. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Always check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/WWE podcast for all the shows ad-free, as well as Apple. You can do a free trial there, too. Click that subscribe button. Thanks, everybody. Talk next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.